All right, I think we're live again. All right,
That's good.
thanks, Chad, for helping fix all of the issues with the stream. But so we're back, and I guess in general, it's been a little while since we've streamed.
Yeah,
The three
no.
of us, I guess, from since coming back from Finland, and I've been in the process of moving. Uh, Only a pretty short distance in Maryland. So all of those things kind of work together to make it a little hard. And I guess some of last week we were going to stream, um, but at 11 o'clock work issues arose and they spirited me away. Um, so we're finally back. Um, and I have a new setup here in the new apartment I'm at, which I think is a little nicer. So it should help facilitate more regular streaming. Um, yeah,
Can people like? Are we actually live again?
I hope. I hope. It says for live to me.
I can't tell. I can't.
Yeah, I can't
I don't
really
know
tell.
how to use.
How to use Twitch.
Yeah.
So most of the time, like if a stream ends and you're in it, if they start it up immediately, like if you refresh the window or whatever, it should start up. Um, that might not doesn't really say much.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Okay. I think maybe it is back.
it's probably back. It certainly says that it's live, and
Yeah.
Why can we? When I go to live, I see that all of the old chat bullshit's still there. That shouldn't be there anymore. If we're
It seems to be there. I don't know. It must be somehow it's set up that
I
it
think
does that.
yeah, some of that depends on how you set things up as to whether or not that disappears or not.
Yeah, I think it's going.
Yeah.
If anyone's watching this on YouTube, you could let us know. But I kind of wonder. I think YouTube might perhaps. Um, uh, yeah. Well, so I kind of you message.
New
I
message.
kind of
Fuck yeah.
think that the YouTube sort of stuff is slower to like update when it's actually live.
That's
And
why no one streams on that.
I
Now
mean,
some
maybe
people do.
if you were just doing it on that, it probably works. But
I mean, a lot of, from what I understand, a lot of content creators, if they've been using YouTube for a long time and have a lot of fans and followers, that they often just stick with that.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah, but streaming's hard. Never really works.
well, yeah, I think that's just on us, mainly because
Yeah,
we don't
that's true.
really do it a whole lot. And I mean, if we were serious streamers and we like tried to stream like most days or at least a few times a week, um, then we'd kind of deal with these issues a lot more frequently, and I think
Yeah.
we'd know how to
Okay,
get
so
around it.
meandering shade says it works on YouTube. That's good. Yeah, for me it takes because that's usually what I kind of monitor to make sure it's working. But it seems like recently it takes longer for it to like show things are live. But whatever, like it's working. So
Yeah, it is what it is. It's something. But I guess since essentially no one heard anything what we said in our first brief stream, tonight we're gonna talk a little bit about what we've been up to, and then we're actually gonna record an episode of Dragged into Turbolasers. because it's been a little while since we've officially recorded another podcast episode.
Meandering Shade's actually on Twitch now. He's
Heck yeah.
crazy.
Well, I was sort of thinking maybe we'd try and start also using another platform called Mixer.
Shut up.
What the fuck's that?
I don't know. It's another streaming
How can't you
platform.
know, Greg? You have to know it, Mixer. The biggest Twitch streamer, Ninja, just switched to Mixer exclusively.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about that on
Because
the
like
interwebs.
somehow one of his other accounts they had porn running or something.
No, I think when he sort of stopped streaming on Twitch, he ended that channel. I guess his channel was still there, so like if he had followers and stuff, if they'd come to his sort of deactivated channel, there might still be like advertisements or stuff like that. And I think when people would go to his channel, they were shown like not family friendly stuff, so he was all pissed.
Mm.
But mind you, I haven't really paid that much attention to it because I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not those sorts of streamers.
No. We're not streaming Fortnite.
So as Adam mentioned, I think we want to use this to actually record an episode of the podcast because it's been since early June, and I think we're going to kind of return to form and bitch about some models, Games Workshop new or soon to be released models. So it should be like fun old times.
Yeah, there's a lot we can talk about.
But we're going to try to have the podcast broken up into sections a little bit, in which initially we'll talk briefly about sort of the stuff we're doing and maybe some interesting work that kind of other hobbyists are doing, and then go into the main topic of the episode, which in this case is going to be talking about some of the new Space Marine models, which I know probably a lot of the listeners
they probably have a good sense of what we're going to say.
Marines. And they probably know what's coming, but we're still going to do it. We're still going to do it. But I mean, with that in mind, do we just want to start the episode?
Just do it.
I think we should.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah, it's episode 60, everybody. It's crazy.
That is pretty impressive.
Yeah, we're ready. I'll do the 3, 2, 1 thing.
Yep.
That's fine with you, Greg?
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1, record. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dragged into Turbolasers, a Between the Bolter and Me podcast. This is episode 60, and I'm your host, Eric Wire, and I'm here tonight with my two brothers, Adam Wire.
Hey, everybody.
And Greg Wire.
Hey, everyone.
Well, it's nice to be back. I feel it's been like almost 2 months since we had like actually recorded the last official episode of this podcast.
It has been a while.
I guess admittedly, we've done a little bit of just weekly streaming, but even that has been pretty silent or pretty on and off, primarily due to just sort of traveling and various things throughout kind of these summer months. The main of which being we went to Helsinki to participate in the Mordheim 2019 event, which you can go to our blog and kind of read about some of that stuff if you're not familiar with it, or Alex Winberg's blog Echoes of Imperium, because he was the primary person who hosted and made it all happen.
Yeah.
But so certainly worth kind of checking out and reading about, but hopefully we'll be able to have him on eventually and actually talk more about that, but that's not the subject of this particular episode. With this one, we wanted to kind of return to form and complain about some models that are soon to be released. And primarily probably Space Marines, the old like whipping boy.
Yeah.
But I guess in an effort to make the podcast maybe a little bit easier to listen to or broken up into sections, we wanted to try to start these episodes initially with a section that we talk a little bit about kind of the things that we've been doing with the hobby, and then talk also a little bit about like a particular hobbyist that has recently caught our eye, just to sort of talk about some of their work and try to get kind of their name out there and just make the community like a more inclusive, fun kind of community. And at least at the moment, we're going to be calling it Hobby Happenings, because I won't say a nice alliteration, but it's an alliteration.
or Hobby Hoedown. If any
Yes.
of you are listening to this, let us know which you like better, Hobby Happenings or Hobby Hoedown.
They're both
Hobby
pretty
Hoedown
bad.
is obviously the dumber of the choices, but maybe that makes it better.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, so let's not keep on rambling. Let's just jump into this hobby happening. So what's everybody been doing? I, of course, haven't been doing anything.
So I haven't done a whole lot, but just coming off of the Mordheim 2019 event, most of my focus has still been on Mordheim 2019. I still have a little more paint work. I want to touch up some of the models that I took to the event. And then on top of that, everyone attending the event were sent a special sculpt that was commissioned for the event. And due to time constraints, I wasn't really able to do anything with that model. And so I think I'm in the process of converting that model into a Sister of Sigmar. The original sculpt of the model was an older, like elderly woman holding a fish and a sword. And
Yeah, it's a nice model. Actually, yes, that you said it was commissioned. It was actually sculpted by Mike Anderson. And yeah, it's a cool model.
Yeah,
That if
so
you're actually watching this on like YouTube or Twitch, there should be like a picture or so kind of the base model and kind of what some of the stuff Adam's been working on. But
yeah, so I've taken the base model and I started like I removed her sword and she's carrying like a little in one of her hands she's carrying a fish, which is kind of a nice throwback to like Mordheim in general. But for the one I'm working on, I went ahead and I started removing some of that stuff. I removed the fish, gave her an eye patch, and have started replacing her sword with what will essentially be like a warhammer of sorts, similar to the smaller warhammers that most of the sisters that I've made have.
yeah, it's looking nice. I have a copy of the model here that I am hoping to start painting soon.
Okay, that's cool. But
Just
yeah.
kind of stock.
So yeah, that's what I've been working on. Hopefully, within the next few days, I'll largely have the model finished, and then I'll get to painting, and then hopefully that won't take too long, and I'll start moving on to other projects. And
I guess the one thing that I can say, I haven't really been doing anything, but one thing that did happen is I bought the Warcry boxed game and then promptly gave it to you, Adam.
yeah, it's true. I have it. Here it is on the work desk. I haven't even opened it, but it's here.
That's
So
what
exciting.
Open it on a stream, right? Open it on a stream.
Yeah, I can probably open it on a stream. Maybe on this one.
Yeah, so exciting. So exciting. It's been sitting in that box for days.
Well, all right, so I think let's just keep moving on. We did the hobby happening.
Well,
so this will transition from the hobby happening, or the ending part of the hobby happening section. Wanted to just kind of primarily through Instagram find like kind of a model or something that has caught our eye recently.
Yeah.
And this particular
happening hobbyist.
Yeah. So yes, the happening hobbyist, and Um, there, it's hard to kind of pick this sort of thing because there are just so many great hobbyists and things that they're doing, and it's like I feel easier than ever to kind of get like present your stuff and like have other people see it. But one of the ones that is kind of recently caught our eye due to, of all things, actually Games Workshop's Ever Chosen event, which had people kind of painting models and submitting them to their local like Games Workshop store. But there's a particular hobbyist named Fabio, or at least I don't know if this is actually his name, but goes by on Instagram. Um, so what is it? Fabio Morcut, and he does all sorts of awesome conversions. But this particular model that actually won gold, the gold spot for Ever Chosen at their store, is an awesome Digga knob from Gorka Morka. And I don't know if Gorka Morka was one of Games Workshop's older skirmish games, just kind of like Necromunda with vehicles and orcs, kind of a Mad Max type thing. So it was primarily orcs, but there were some like weedy, pathetic humans on the same planet that ended up kind of trying to take up the orc culture, and they referred to them as Diggas. And Fabio, like, basically has made some of like the best Diggas I've ever seen. And this particular one was his like knob or leader for it, and it's just spectacular. He used one of the
Slaughter priest models from Age of Sigmar. And then he took, I think, an orc shooter, and I think the front of the orc shooters from, or maybe the entire thing really, was from an orc like shooter from, I think, Forge World.
It's just super well painted. Like, and I feel if anyone had played Gorka Morka before, like just seeing it, like instantly what the model is, and like makes it kind of like realize how great it would be if Games Workshop would go back and re-release Gorka Morka and make some models that they could make some really cool models towards this end.
Digga knobs wouldn't be that good.
No, they'd be more pathetic.
Well, if you look on Fabio Morgott's Instagram page, he has been making a lot of different Gorka Morka models. Like he's done some extensive conversions of some mutees, riding their mutated beasts that look great. He's done a whole bunch of Diggas, a lot of which he's taken some of those, are they called Plague Walkers or whatever those Nurgles on models are. He's taken them and kind of removed a lot of the decayed sort of stuff and turned them into Diggas, and they look awesome.
Yeah.
He also has sculpted from scratch a bunch of just fantasy orc warriors that look really nice. Like, he's done lots of great stuff on.
Yeah, so really, if people aren't following, you really should. You owe it to yourself to follow his stuff, because there's so many great conversions, painted models, all that stuff. So, and anyone kind of excited about Gorka Morka is a thumbs up in my book.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Meandering Shade, we had mentioned Gorka Morka a little bit in one of the previous streams and stuff, and like the more I see of some of this stuff, the more I'd kind of like to play it. And honestly, with all the new orc vehicles and stuff that were released for the orc codex, like I feel it would be easier than ever to like get some of them and like kind of kit bash them a little bit and have pretty suitable and nice things without like having to go too wild with like sculpting or all that stuff. So like, I feel it would be pretty cool.
Well, for those of you just listening to this and can't see anything, to help you find the individual's Instagram account, FABIO_MORGHOT. That's his handle.
Yeah, so certainly follow it. Lots of cool stuff. But I suppose with that maybe that's the end of the first official hobby happenings, and now we can transition into the
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Now I guess we can transition into the main section of the episode, which we're going to talk about some of the newly revealed models. And do we want to just go straight into all these Space Marine models, or
I guess we may as well.
Okay.
So I guess first, I don't think we need to spend too much time on this, but so they're continuing to release Space Marine special characters that were modified into or changed into their Primaris versions. And overall, I feel that's a good thing. And hopefully down the line, they'll essentially just change everything to that and kind of
I mean, yeah, like I can see how
overlook some of that stuff.
like from like a background sense be like, it's sort of dumb. And I mean, maybe I'm even inclined to agree to a point with that. But like, if this is the way that they will get new models that like have better anatomy, like why not? Like, you could easily do some slight conversions to sort of minimize the Primaris elements of the armor, and like it essentially just looks like a better proportioned
Space Marine. When I look at all those models, I don't think Primaris. I think there's a Space Marine.
Yeah. So like I think
So
I would much rather have it be a Primaris like this and have like the model like proportioned in a more sensical way than not. Like, God, what if they would just redesign some of these models again and keep the normal Space Marine proportions? Like, that would be terrible. So I would
like they're releasing a model of the Ultramarine Chief Librarian Tigerius, I believe his name is.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks good.
I'd say I'm not overly impressed with him. I mean, I feel GW still loves to have people stepping up on rocks.
Well, they're trying to make it a more dynamic pose, Greg. I don't know. I think I like everything about the model, except it's kind of weird how he's holding his staff.
And the staff is super huge.
I mean, I can see the staff being pretty big, but like he's like holding it in the center of it, and it's like, I don't know, it's weird.
Reminds me like he's pretending to be Moses parting the Nile.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like.
Let my people go, he's yelling.
Or something, yeah. So, still, I think the model looks pretty good.
The thing that I maybe think is kind of fun, whether or not it looks great or not, is that like he has like a banner, like the old school, like second edition banners.
Yeah, it's true.
And that they actually kind of sculpted and such. And I think that's sort of neat. Even though maybe I don't know if I like that sort of thing that much, but it brings kind of a smile to my face because it's like the old second edition stuff where like all the characters came with that plastic backpack with the like little standard on there that you could put like a paper banner on. Yeah. So it's kind of fun.
Well, Meandering Shade says that the staff that he's holding doesn't fit with the whole movement and direction that the rest of the figures
have. It really doesn't.
And I certainly agree with that. It looks like it was kind of just slapped on there.
Yeah.
Well, if the top of the staff was closer to his closed fist, it wouldn't be as awkward.
Or if it would be angled forward a little, would also like it just looks a little awkward. And I kind of wonder if some of this awkwardness and sizing stuff, and maybe it's slightly easier to like do it poorly with the advent of digital sculpting stuff.
But I mean, they did a nice job of sculpting his fingers, holding the staff to hold it the way he's holding it. So it's like this is what they wanted. They wanted that. And I don't know. Yeah, it looks awkward. And And the other special character is I don't even remember his name. The White Scars guy.
Or no, that's the Primarch. Yeah, I don't.
Corsaro Khan of the White Scars. I mean, he sort of suffers from, yeah, he sort of suffers from the same thing. In some regards, it's whoa, Jesus. He actually has the same pose as Tigris. Like his leg pose is the same. Maybe not the same, but it's very similar.
Yeah, it's kind of like almost like the exact same
base model.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
One thing that it's funny that I think they may have had a model for this guy before, and he still doesn't have his motorcycle. Like that's like his thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think they've now made 2 versions of this model without the motorcycle, which is like
They really need to design new, better looking motorcycles because their motorcycles look terrible.
Yeah, maybe they'll design a Primaris one that like makes a little more sense.
I feel this model. I feel if you wanted this model or want a model like this for your leader, if you were using this character, I feel you would get this model and take elements from it. Like you could take his sword and like give him a different pose. Like I would probably change his legs. Like why? It just looks awkward to me.
I don't. With this one, like he also has a little banner thing, but I don't think it's nearly as like endearing as the Ultimate.
But I mean, he's on a motorcycle, so like you wouldn't want that. Yeah,
I mean, he has an eagle, but it's cool.
I like that he has an eagle, but something about the eagle seems weird. Almost like the eagle doesn't have much in the way of like upper body strength, and then like it drops down, and he's kind of like maybe a little plump, and it almost looks like he's wearing like cargo pants or something, because like the bottom of him is like fluffy and big. The top of him, where you'd like to think there'd be some more musculature for those wings, is slight. So something about it looks a little weird.
Big Bird, that's Big Bird.
Admittedly, I'm not super knowledgeable about the physiology of birds of prey and such. So, I mean, maybe I'm just wrong, but something about that bird looks a little weird. I mean, I still largely like him or her, but it still looks a little weird.
Yeah. So we can move on.
They're fine. I'm glad they're continuing to make characters like this.
I mean, ultimately, I feel like if you have one of these armies or something, or would want to make a character like these, I could see buying them and like trying to convert them a little bit to whatever you're trying to do. Whereas if it was like just a normal Space Marine sort of size thing, like I feel that would you just wouldn't do. But this there's potential there, so that's good.
Do we want to next talk about the Walker they revealed, or like
I mean that's one of the big things, and I think it's going up for pre-order this week, this Saturday. So.
Okay, so they made like an aliens like cargo hauler, cargo like lifter mech thing, and I guess overall it looks pretty cool. Like I think it looks pretty cool, but I don't know. I sort of I sort of question what the point of this is. Like
it's a stealth walker.
Well, it can't be. It obviously can't be a stealth walker. Like, I guess
that's
it is supposed to be. Okay, well, so that doesn't makes literally no sense.
And as soon as it starts shooting, like it would alert itself.
Yeah, well, actually, what does it say? The Invictor tactical warsuit is designed with sound dampening materials, enabling it to move at great speed with minimal noise, output, and support. Oof.
So I mean, that stuff. I mean, maybe one could conceivably think that they have that sort of stuff, but I can't see how they wouldn't be able to dampen firing rockets out of that rocket thing, or like
Or not
shooting
not
it.
how they designed and showed those weapons. Yeah. So ideally, I guess. So this is like a powered exoskeleton to make the Space Marines like faster and stronger and carry heavier weapons. So that's the point of it, I guess. So they're already sort of in like a powered exoskeleton, like that's their power armor. But now they're being strapped into another larger suit, which I feel like they've been doing this with Space Marines for a while. Like that's sort of what the Centurions are. It's sort of what a dreadnought is.
The dreadnought, yeah.
And then there's the Dread Knight or Dread Knight or whatever for the
Grey Knights.
The Grey Knights. And I feel of all of these outer exoskeletons, this is by far the best. But you sort of question, if you look at the actual model itself, it has like these like bars and stuff covering where the rider is. So essentially the rider has no, like a roll cage. The rider has essentially no extra protection. So,
but the rest of the machine has lots of armored
yeah,
plates.
so you sort of question like why doesn't it have like more of like a sarcophagus like a dreadnought? That I think would make more sense.
Aliens.
Yeah, aliens maybe. So yeah, I feel if just looking at it, it seems cool, but like.
But I mean,
questioning the design.
Yeah, I mean, it has like on the hip of the weapon, it has like almost like a pistol version of the heavy bolter. So that's pretty weird. And I think in one of the other posts on the Warhammer community site, I think they might have even had they have another picture of it. So yeah, it literally has like a pistol version of a heavy bolter.
I like that the Power Fist has more like slender fingers.
I think that's like the coolest aspect of that they changed the Power Fist. So like honestly, like I feel for a while the Power Fist imagery for like Terminators and stuff has always been like gigantic fists that doesn't seem like they could use it very easily, when it wouldn't always have to be that. Even like the lightning claws, like the lightning claw gives up the benefit of having the Power Fist, but it's still as big as the Power Fist, so it's always been sort of dumb. But it's nice to see this, that they actually made it thinner, but you could still conceivably think that that is still pretty strong. Meandering Shade actually mentions here that he thinks that Walker reminds him more of like the mechs in the Matrix sequels than the Aliens Power Loader.
So that's actually true.
I've seen a lot of people talking about that, and I'll be completely honest, I don't even remember the Matrix sequels.
I remember that there were these suits kind of like that, but I don't really remember what they look like.
One wasn't in James Cameron's Avatar. Weren't there also mechs kind of like this too?
I think there were.
Yeah. But I kind of put that film out of my mind too, so I don't really remember.
Well, I never even saw it. Avatar. Can you name one of the names of one of the characters in the show, Eric?
Avatar.
Yeah,
No, I obviously cannot.
Wait, in the show?
In the movie.
Because there's the show Avatar, which has nothing to do with the movie Avatar.
Well, the movie Avatar, there's like I've seen videos on YouTube of what like the movie itself was kind of like a phenomenon where like so many people saw it, but now essentially I feel you could ask like most people who saw the movie, literally no one remembers any of the characters or the names of any of the characters in it. Like literally none of them.
The special effects were pretty impressive. That's what I'm told. I don't really remember that.
Yeah, I never even saw it.
It made
but whatever. Who cares? We don't care about Avatar.
So let's stop talking about Avatar. But I mean, I guess ultimately, it seems like this is sort of an archetype or like a classic mech-looking design in multiple IPs, and it's like Games Workshop wanted to have their version of it, and I mean that's fair. But yeah, I like the look of it. I feel some of the background stuff for it like sounds kind of dumb, but you know maybe if they develop it more, it could be neat. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
regardless, it's a cool looking thing, and like I feel it will end up being in. It'll be nice for conversions. Like there's like a Inc. 28 thing collaborative sort of event. It's going to be happening relatively soon. That's taking place on like an ice planet with a bunch of mechs called, is it Galita, I believe. And if this had been released sooner, it seems like it would have been a great thing to like sort of base some conversions on. Admittedly, you'd still want to have the roll cage like more armored, but
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, it's good partially because it's based on sort of the Redemptor looking dreadnought, which was a nice design in itself because the legs were a bit more substantial and looked like maybe they could actually walk. And this kind of fits that same sort of theme.
One thing that I do like, a lot of the like machine guns and stuff on the weapons, they look a little more like a modern, like heavily shrouded, straight barreled machine guns. And I think they look cool. And I feel like if you replaced a lot of like your Space Marine like heavy bolters and stuff with stuff more like that, I think they'd look neater.
Which, yeah, that's interesting though that the model has that, like maybe it's an autocannon thing, but then it also still has the kind of ridiculous looking heavy bolter. So they have both of that imagery. Like this is a more thoughtful take on a heavy machine gun, but we still have our old standby that even though it doesn't make sense, you all love it, so here it is.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I guess I can see why they would do that, but. So yeah, kind of neat model.
Yeah. So I guess in addition to the Walker, they also finally show a new transport, which
yeah, people have been clamoring about the Primaris transport, like more Primaris transport. So here it is.
yeah, here it is, and it's pretty interesting. Like I feel what they were trying to go for like an armored personnel carrier, like one of like a German like half track or something from World War II or something like that.
Yeah.
Where like you have like almost like an armored pickup truck.
It's hard to tell from this initial image, but I think some images from the Codex book that have been sent out to like YouTubers and such for some pictures and stuff, and maybe it's even on one of the Warhammer community pages. But yeah, like the back of it is like an open top bed, which is interesting. I don't know if I love the design much, but it kind of looks just like a slightly bigger Rhino with the back end cut open.
Yeah, I mean, I
so
guess I would have loved if they just made a bigger Rhino. That would have been so sweet.
That's what I thought it was.
I initially thought it was basically that too, but it's not.
No, I mean, it's just like they cut off the back half of the Rhino and like lifted it up a little and took off all the armor plating and yeah, I don't know, it's weird. But I do again like this also has like the more sensible like autocannon, like heavy bolter machine guns. Like I like them. I feel like
It's sort of interesting that I mean I guess the one is like a pintle mount thing that is optional, or maybe that's I guess yeah, it's probably an optional thing. But it's sort of weird to have one like that and then like another one on the same thing that's like not a pintle mount
yeah, like
thing.
right by it, and to the point where it's hard to tell from this, but it almost looks like that, like the if you were if there was a gunner looking out of that cupola, manning the pintle mount, it almost looks like the other machine gun, if it tried to move over, it would physically hit the gunner. Or at the very least, if you were shooting from the automated servo gun, you probably wouldn't want to be out with the pintle mount because like you could probably be shot.
Well, yeah, there's the guy's peeking his head out, like, oh, better not stick my head out further, or I'll be either shot or hit in the head by the
Yeah.
rotating turrets. So yeah, some of that stuff's a little curious.
I mean, it also has, in addition to the pintle mounts and shit, it also has like heavy bolters or something, sponsons mounted to the side. But I guess in this, they look okay, and at least they're not directly behind like exit doors or something. Like I know, like the Imperial Guard, like Torox or whatever, like they have these stupid side-mounted guns that, and then right in front of the gun is the door to exit the fucking vehicle. So it's like you jump out and you get shot by the. That's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I feel some would argue, well, that's 40K. That's like they don't care about their soldiers, but like that to me seems like making excuses to like
For a questionable
explain.
design.
Yeah. But yeah, meandering shade. Yep, Primaris pickup truck. That's what it is. But yeah, and I feel meandering shade mentioned here that like kind of you look at most kids today as sort of conversion fodder, and yeah, I feel we sort of do the same, such that even though we're kind of talking about certain elements that maybe don't make quite as much sense or like that much, I feel a lot of the general imagery of this model isn't that bad, such that you could just remove some of the sponsons you don't like, or I think a lot of it's workable that you could make it into something you liked more than maybe the initial.
So what you really have to the real question you have to ask: do you think in these Primaris vehicles, do you think there are radios, and do you think on those radios, do you think they're listening to like country-esque songs about their pickup trucks and shit? You think that happens? I bet it does.
Pop country probably hasn't died in
the 41st millennium. It's probably more popular than ever.
Yeah, that would make sense. Primaris would like that probably.
Yeah,
Listen to their Sam Hunt.
We're hunting, fishing, loving every day.
That's garbage.
I don't know how much our European or British viewers hear of like American popular country music, but it's bad. It panders to specific demographics, mainly like those in rural farming communities, and it's so bad.
It's really
They'll have
bad.
songs about drinking beer on a hot summer night with your pickup truck, or hunting,
objectifying women.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on from the Primaris pickup truck. So now, as we I think as everyone was expecting, since they released what were the name of the new Space Marines in Shadows Pair? In Shadows Pair, they released those new Space Marines that kind of like
Vanguard something.
Yeah, the tactical Space Marines that, to be honest, were actually pretty cool. We knew since they released them in a box game, they would eventually come out with like more multi-part versions of them, and they're here, or they're soon going to be here. And long-time viewers may remember us sort of complaining about the multi-part Primaris kits in general, and how we thought overall they were vastly inferior to the single-piece versions of the Primaris Marines seen in some of the boxed games.
And like the Dark Vengeance, Hellblasters, and Intercessors. their poses were a lot more natural than
Mhm.
the multi-part versions. And unfortunately, it kind of looks like the same for this. They had some nice looking models and sort of natural poses for the Shadows pair models, and the multi-part ones seems like they've partially compromised some of those poses to possibly have more variety. It's not clear. Ultimately, it won't be clear until we see more of them, but just like some of the pictures of like this 5-man squad of the Vanguard guys.
They're also awkward. Like maybe the sergeant dude doesn't look particularly awkward. And the one that's kind of lowering his gun towards the ground doesn't look so awkward. But the others all look super awkward.
Like a bunch, like most of them that are holding their rifles have like the broken wrist, a thing that like most Space Marines have,
Yeah,
because like
like
the
they're
stock wasn't put there. They like have their wrist angled upward in an odd fashion that looks as though they broke their wrist. And
Or are severely straining it.
yeah.
so they're doing that. Like, and this partially goes back to the bolters are too big to be a reasonable firearm, and these are
Dudes,
certainly better. But
these dudes with their kind of like high top sneaker design, I still think most of them look like they're standing on their tiptoes. I guess I mean, they're not, but maybe it's just something with the visual language of
Hmm.
the sneaker design there. Looks like they're kind of on their tiptoes.
Well, they're trying to sneak around, Greg, so maybe they are.
Yeah.
Um,
So maybe let's not talk too much more about them. But I mean, they look all right, but their posing is awkward, and I think that is just because they tried to make them multi-part.
yeah, I mean, I feel you'll if you play around with them a bunch, you'll probably be able to make some nice looking models. But I think some of the arm poses and stuff are probably close to not usable.
like the one, it's just like is just like, oh, I'm like picking up this bolter and I'm gonna chuck it over behind my shoulder for some reason. Like, what is he
Or to
doing?
me, it looks like he just like drew a Valentine for his parents. And he's coming up like, "Hey, look here, I got it." Like it's just so awkward. Like, yeah,
Or like he's wading through muck waist deep and he's trying to keep his prized bolter out of there.
But
yeah,
while
that's
he's
what it
doing
looks
this, he's
like.
firing it.
Yeah, well, he's shooting it. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel if you really like these Marines, I would just get the ones from Shadow Spear. That's what I would do.
You could probably get them for cheaper from like a bit seller sort of thing.
And they're
And
posed
they'll be,
better. Yeah.
Well,
but I mean, for conversion purposes, perhaps these will have like maybe the bolters will be more separate or something. So I mean, I think it'll still be useful,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I
it's
think they'll be good.
it's a bit annoying that like I think you'll have to seriously look at them, and some of them it'll be less useful than you would hope them to be.
well, there's like a character model from that same group, the high top group, or maybe he's just a
Yeah, I think it's like a Reaver character.
yeah, he's kind of like jumping down at you with his
Oh yeah.
big blade, and I think he's cool. Like he's the best. He's a lot better than the regular squad there. Um,
Yeah, he's cool. I'm not sure what he's supposed to be. Is he like a sergeant or like a captain or something?
I mean, he looks like one of the Reaver models. So maybe
Yeah.
he's a captain, Reaver captain something. But yeah, he looks nice.
Yeah,
The
he's
post
probably
looks
my
pretty good.
favorite.
I guess they also have. It seems like they made a multi-part kit of the sniper models.
These I think are the worst. These are bad. Like holy
Yeah, they're
shit.
not.
Like
Like
so
I feel the original ones in Shadows were fairly good. Like they had some issues, but overall better than anticipated. But these multi-part ones, just like they had a good thing created, and it's like, oh, we have to somehow like cut it up and change it a little bit, but we're not sure what to do with it.
Also, they have one that's standing and is shouldering his rifle and like shooting it, and it looks awful. Like he literally, like he's shouldering his rifle, he's pulling the trigger, but he's not looking down the barrel of the weapon at all. Like it's not
Or
even
at least not
close.
the scope. He's not looking at the scope.
No, he's
Through the
not.
scope.
So it's like
Well,
it's
because
just
like the
completely
other
wrong.
ones, the Shadow Spear ones, like at least they made an effort to make it look like they were using them. But yeah, this one just isn't, right? I mean, maybe it's because it's multi-part and there's another pose that you can create that isn't terrible, but that one's sure bad.
And
And he
then
has that
like
stupid piece of terrain like in front of him, like that just sort of like obfuscates the model. It doesn't really make sense
he
why they'd
doesn't
have
hide enough
that.
of it.
And his
Yeah.
one foot's up on that rock because that's what GW does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The other one kneeling, like
He's carrying his terrain around with him.
The kneeling dude, how is the forward facing leg is situated is pretty weird.
Yeah, I don't think you would kneel like that.
Well, and I think this also makes it like how he's holding that rifle and such in one hand. It makes it clear how gigantic the rifle is and how
But
thick it is and how like
but
no one
so
like they would
yeah.
never design something
But I
like
mean in
that.
Shadow Spear, like they had this same basic model of someone like holding a rifle at ease and like pulling out like another magazine and it looked good. This looks terrible. So it's like let's do it again, but just like fuck it up.
Yeah, it's weird how they're they're very similar, but like there are some subtle differences on how they're posed and or like certain details that just really takes you out of it and like makes you kind of think like, well, I kind of thought I liked the original models, but you know what? Maybe I didn't.
Yeah. And then like the sergeant, he's like standing at ease and he's like looking, he's removed the scope from his rifle and he's like using that to like look at stuff. I mean, I
And they
guess
already
it's
have that
okay.
same basic model that's looking out of a binoculars in Shadow's pair.
And that looked better.
I still think that the scope looking dude here is the best of the
Yeah.
three that they've
Yeah,
showed.
he certainly is.
So
And
I
I
don't
feel he
know.
would be workable.
Yeah. So again, just like the other Marines, like if you like the idea of these Marines, just get the ones from Shadow Sphere.
Well, I think one thing that's interesting about these sniper ones, they come with some different options that weren't really shown here. One is like a laser rifle thing, which the little I saw didn't look that good. But they also, I think, have carbines. You can give them like smaller carbines. And I think maybe in the Marine, the Space Marine Codex, there's a picture of that same sergeant guy, but instead of that gigantic sniper rifle, he has like a carbine that looks a lot more like the other Vanguard guys, and it looks
Okay.
much cooler just because it's not so huge.
Yeah.
And so that in itself, I feel perhaps you could get some use out of that. Maybe these will build these models, but like holding smaller guns, and I think maybe you could get some mileage out of that. But we'll have to see what the actual kit looks like. But on first glance, yeah, it looks
They're a mess.
yeah, they lost a
Like
lot of what
if
made
this
them
was the
cool.
first thing they showed me of these newer like sniper or rifle Marines and stuff, like I
I would
wouldn't.
have like hated them instantly.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're rough. They're really rough. And so I feel that's the majority of like the models that they showed. And like some of the stuff when they go up for pre-order in the coming weeks, I think we'll get a better sense of some of the stuff. Like I am interested with those snipers to see like what other weapon variants and stuff they have, and like maybe they'll be easier to salvage than what it appears.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to know. But so yeah, I guess ultimately it's kind of a mixed bag for these models. That in some sense, like some aspects are cool. Like I mean, I think the Walker, like we were saying, ultimately looks pretty neat, but like the whole background and idea of it is somewhat questionable. But at least the model as a whole looks neat. Whereas a lot of the other ones, it seems that they're just taking a model that they had some nice ones and like changing it just for the sake of changing it because they feel like they need to, but not really improving on it and just making them look more awkward and reminding you that they are pretty awkward looking.
Yeah.
The cover art for the new Space Marine Codex looks nice. So maybe that means the internal art is good as well.
Yeah, the cover art is good.
Yeah.
Maybe we want to end the podcast part of this. Like we've talked for about 45 minutes. We've talked about the Space Marines. I think we could call it.
Yeah, no, I think we could. We don't need to keep complaining about them. We said our piece.
Yeah.
We said our piece. But yeah, so I feel this can draw to a close the first, or yeah, I guess our 60th episode of Dragged into Turbolasers. Just been kind of long overdue, but it's good to be back, and hopefully we'll be a little bit more consistent with recording these.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess thanks everybody for listening, and as always, follow our blog, Instagram, all that stuff. And if you have any questions or want to contact us about anything, feel free to through our email address, which is on the blog, or just through Instagram and stuff. We're always happy to communicate and with other people and collaborate or whatnot. So yeah.
Until next time.
Yep. See you, everybody. Awesome. Well, we did it. Another episode's done. Well, I guess I'll have to edit all this, but it's good to
so I guess
something.
Well, we didn't really talk about it in the podcast. We could still talk about the just in the stream in general. Talk about the like leader model, the Sister Battle leader model they showed.
The cannon,
like last week or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Hey, Johnny, nice to see you here.
Well, yeah, I guess anyone who's listening, what do people think of the Sister of Battle Canonist model? Do people like it?
I feel overall the model's pretty good. There are a lot of neat aspects. There still are a lot of questionable aspects, which I don't really like. I think the model is really... There are a lot of aspects of the model that are very, ornamental and, faith-based, prayer-like stuff that I feel probably could have been toned down a whole lot, because I think the models you're going to be using in game terms, they're supposed to be the forms going into battle. And I don't know, I guess maybe you'd argue that the leaders and stuff, like, they're not doing as much of the fighting, so it's okay that they have this huge ornamental, like, staff. Yeah, I don't know. And
I
then
mean,
you
I
can,
think to me the best part about the model is that her face is like older looking and aged, and it's nice that they did that because yeah, Meandering Shade, you mentioned it here, like pretty much all the original Just Gooden ones, while their faces look good, like they were all exactly the same, and it's nice to see an older looking face, and I think that's certainly the best part, and it will be, I think, be used in a bunch of conversions, and
oh yeah,
ultimately would have been good for your Sisters of Sigmar stuff.
yeah,
But
I
yeah,
think
as you
it'll be used
mentioned,
everywhere.
Johnny, like I think it would benefit by scraping off the boob plate stuff. Because, like, I mean, sure, maybe they used Rejuvent surgery or whatever, but it looks a little awkward to have this, like, really thin, like, sexualized body there. I feel it looks somewhat weird, but maybe the main reason it's weird is the fact that she has this heavy robe on, but then it's like only half a robe, such that it only like it doesn't cover much of her like chest and such, but everything else, and like that just is like kind of a weird disjointed image that
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
like
know if it makes
it's almost like
that
they
much
intentionally
sense.
did that just so you could sort of see the boobs poking out a little bit. Like, why would they have done that?
Yeah,
Seems
the
stupid.
decorative boobs.
Yeah. I almost think, aside from my favorite part is certainly the head of the model, but the next part that I really like is they actually have, like, she has a bionic leg, and it looks different than like the other bionic legs and stuff. Like, it looks as if, yes, as they sort of mention it in the post itself, it isn't the sort of crude functional bionic that so many of the Imperium like make do with you. So this looks like it's a little nicer than normal, and I think that's cool.
Her wide stance is maybe a little weird.
I mean, but that's Games Workshop. You like literally every single model they've almost ever made have like the widest stances ever. So yeah, that is weird. But I feel I'd almost like to say if Games Workshop like right now started making like nearly all of their models like standing up straight in a proper posture, I think that would just look so weird and people wouldn't be ready for it and they'd think this stuff looked wrong. I almost feel that's what would happen because
Yeah,
it would
because
be very different because
well, like the Delac models are sort of like that though,
yeah, so they're
because of
probably the
the
closest
trench
we've ever
coats,
seen.
they're like standing up, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, they're so tall! They're way too tall." And admittedly, they are relatively tall, but like I
And they
feel,
probably are too tall. But the
but
notion,
still, a portion of it is just the fact that they're actually standing straight up.
yeah,
But I don't
because yeah,
know.
like this model itself would be much taller if she were standing straight up. And I mean, I guess related to that, the do I have it? The like the plastic Sister of Battle model, Sister
Like a new one.
Superior Amelia, like she's actually since she was based off of that Kapinski artwork, um, she's actually pretty much standing up straight. I mean, sort of in like a relaxed stance, but I mean, she's really tall if you compare her to a lot of other models. Like, she's super tall, and part of that is just because she's not hunched over like most of the
I mean,
40K
I guess
models.
ultimately, I think there's some good and also some questionable parts of the model. But at least the fact that there is kind of an aged face, and like it maybe makes me hopeful that they will make some other character models, some confessors and preachers and stuff that will be interesting and like will be fun, and like everything else, it'll be good to convert to stuff, and people will do a lot of that.
Oh,
So
meandering shit. Everyone in the 41st Millennium is drilled to fight in a power metal guitar stance. Yeah, I mean
that's true.
that's what it looks like.
That's true. You have to do that. Makes the most sense to
I
do
sort
that.
of think like why I almost wonder like how has it persisted this long? Like why do they do that? Is it I guess it must be that they that it looks cool, I think. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know if I would say that it looks cool,
quotation marks looks cool.
but it makes them look like a more dynamic or like something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, it's weird. It's weird, and I feel it's so commonplace that like yeah, nearly all the 40K models are in the power metal stance that I don't think people notice it. Most people, I don't think, notice it, or they don't think anything of it.
Yeah,
And I
it's
mean,
too.
I didn't think anything of it for a long time.
Yeah, well,
I don't know. Overall, I think this Canonist model's cool. Hopefully, they have a lot of character models and even several different Canonist models. It is interesting. You in the model, you can see like behind her back. There's like, I guess that's probably a plasma pistol that's like so big. It's like holy shit. But I guess it's hidden, so it's fine.
yeah, I think you're right, meandering shit, at least to a point that certainly a lot of their character models have this wide stance to try to maybe make them have more of like a stage presence, like a dramatic effect. But even like the new Enforcer models for Necromunda, like almost every single one of them has like this really wide stance for some reason.
I mean, I feel they're better. They're not as
Some of
they're
them
not
it's
as
fine because they're
wide
kind of
as
like at ready.
yeah, they're not as wide as some Games Workshop models, but they're spread out a little further than what I would have
Well, they
thought
want
they
to
would
have them
be.
spread out like that to make it seem reasonable that they've made new larger bases that you should buy. Space
I
Marine should really
guess.
be on 32 millimeter bases because that wide stance that hardly fits that 25 millimeter base that they used to give you.
Yeah, it's true. Um,
Hardly fits.
doesn't fit, Eric. It just doesn't fit.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe the new 28 millimeters though.
do they have the Battle Sister Bolton every week?
They didn't have it this week, so
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't think they had one this week, but then again like maybe they have it on
maybe it
Thursdays or
changes
something.
every week. I don't know. I don't know when. I kind of thought it was Tuesdays, but like that
Yeah.
could be so wrong. So I don't know. But you
Yes.
have it most weeks.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I mean,
now meandering shade. Yeah, they do have 28 millimeter bases in Warcry. So I kind of feel that means like some people are like, oh, maybe it's just for Warcry. Like I don't think so. I kind of feel like the Sisters of Battle will all have 28 millimeter bases.
well, I mean, they just keep the scale creep just is intense. Like everything literally just keeps getting bigger. Like, the like literally the new cool Necromunda Enforcer models are literally as big as a Primaris Space Marine. So like, I mean, I guess they're from Necromunda, so like it's a different game, so like whatever. But like they're fucking huge.
And yes, Eli, there are 28 millimeter bases. So they have the original 25 millimeter base. They have the 32 millimeter base, which was kind of introduced later for like Primaris and whatever. And now they have one in between that, the 28 millimeter base.
Yeah, so
And I mean, honestly,
I guess
think
more
it's
options
sort of good,
probably fine.
but like I kind of all those resin base makers and stuff having to remake their fucking bases again to have 28 millimeters. Like, ugh.
Yes, I don't think. I mean, I don't think they're ever gonna make a smaller base anymore. Remember the Gorka Morka bases?
Oh my
Oh
god.
yeah, the tiny bases for fitting on the trucks and such. They were something else.
Yeah, they were something else.
Hey friends, I think I'm rocking out of here. Like I want to try to be up early for work. So I mean, you can all keep talking,
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
but it
Well,
was
nice
nice.
having you here, Greg.
Yep.
See you, Greg.
See you, everybody.
But yeah, I don't know. 28 millimeter base, like, I'm sure it'll be useful, but it is a little like.
Well, does Warcry, do they have 25 millimeter bases in the game at all?
They do.
Okay, so it's not that. Huh. Well, shit.
Yes, so they do.
Watch just a minute.
Yeah, they do. Some of like the models are like they're mixed between like 40 millimeter and 32.
Workstation cameras on. Let's see, like, can we well, yeah, so I guess can we see this? Yeah, so this model here is probably on a 25 millimeter base. This one's, wait a minute, it's harder to tell.
Yeah, but meandering shade, yeah, it would be kind of nice if they had like a 20 millimeter or something like a little smaller for like goblins or something like that. Because it almost seems like like they have 32, which is good for a somewhat larger model. 25 is good, but like making the 28 seems like maybe that wasn't that much of a necessity when they have 25 and 32. But like a smaller one could have had use. But then, yeah, maybe it's just like, wow, they want to push all their models larger anyway, such that.
I think everything's just gonna keep getting larger. It's like they finally redesigned the Space Marines and made the Primaris, but the thing was, like, like the Gene Stealer cultists are largely the same size as the Primaris, so like already the scale's wrong. Like they redid it and it wasn't right to begin with.
Yeah, like I mean, the Primaris are a little bit bigger, but like if you
Not much.
consider that like someone has to be inside the Primaris armor, like any difference is gone. So yeah, the scale's bad. It's bad.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the 28 millimeter will largely be the new standard base. Like, we'll see. I guess it's hard to know at this point.
Well, that's why, like, for a time, like, I thought it wouldn't have surprised me if they, like, when the Sisters of Battle came out, that they would just give them all 32 millimeter bases because, like, it's the cool base to put stuff on. But, like, it seemed like they were probably a little too small, would probably be a little small for that to look good. So, like, by introducing this 28 millimeter base, like, I feel like pretty sure that, like,
what
most
base size is this Amelia Sister of Battle on?
I think a 32 probably because she is somewhat of a scenic thing.
Yeah, it looks like it's 32.
But that's just because of the like marble plinth or whatever the shit she's standing on. So I kind of feel that like the normal rank and file models will be 28 or possibly 25. I mean, I'm kind of hoping they're small enough that 25 would make sense, but I feel they'll want to push this new base size.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
I don't know.
One thing that I will say, like, since this Sister Superior Amelia model's been out, I really haven't seen that many, like, extensive conversions with the model. Or just conversions in general.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's true.
I mean, it's a good model. Like, I feel one of GW's nicer models. Like her pose is actually makes sense. I feel if her bolter wasn't so big, she'd be like, man, she's good. And the whole fact that she's like standing up straight is like incredible. It's so different from Games Workshop's normal fare that it almost looks out of place. And I mean, it'll probably, if you compare it to like we'll see like the rest of the Sister of Battle range, like hopefully more of them are like this, and they're actually like standing tall. But I imagine they won't be.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't know.
Well, maybe I should convert something from Amelia. I probably should. Well, I feel this now, like, so before, like, if you wanted, like, a female, like, Inquisitor model, the go-to model was the Greyfax model, which I feel had a lot of issues. This, I feel, is much nicer in terms of models. Like, her pose is better. I think the proportions are better.
Just better.
Yeah, so I feel we'll see the model a lot moving forward in conversions. I should compare the size of her bolter to like the normal Space Marine bolters.
I feel that is sort of the question. Like, I'm hoping they're at least somewhat smaller, even though they look too large. But
yeah, because they might actually work really well giving one of those bolters to like a Primaris Marine, and then they'd like actually be small, kind of look small to the Marine. That would be kind of neat.
yeah, Meandering Shade, we have a copy of the Sister Battle based on Blanche's second edition Codex R2 that we haven't done anything with, and probably.
Oh yeah, we do have that. I think Greg bought it and then handed it off to me, and I did nothing with it. It's fine cast, I guess. So that in itself is like,
big fail.
Yeah, to this day, I've never finished assembling a fine cast model. I've tried on a few occasions, but it's always defeated me. I feel if you were just like using the fine cast model as a foundation for an extensive conversion, like it would be okay, because if you were already doing a lot of sculpting to make the model, it doesn't matter if they're all the air bubbles and defects and stuff, because you were gonna change that shit anyway. Eli, I put my copy of that codex up on eBay. You can really a lot, depending on what you have, like a lot of the stuff, it sells for a lot of money now. So yeah, a lot of that stuff, if you've held on to the stuff, like you could make a fair amount if you can find the right like buyer. And I mean, even like all the old like Mordheim models and stuff, like they're not really that easy to find. So
yeah, it's true.
Much more of a market, or yeah, I don't even know. I think maybe it's not. There's more of a market. It's just now people are a little more in the know that they could potentially get a lot more money off of the models if they're patient.
Yeah. The Pious Horn model is nice. I feel that's why lots of people have been using it for conversions for Sisters of Sigmar and
yeah, she's great. She's one of the better, one of the best.
I don't know. Maybe we should head to bed soon, Adam.
Yeah, no, I have to get up pretty early for work tomorrow too.
We should probably, maybe sometime we can do a stream to open Warcry or something.
Yeah, no, I could try and unbox it on stream. See what's inside it, and then box it back up and put it on a shelf. Put it on a shelf. Yeah, meandering shade, it is a shame. Like some of that Necromunda stuff, like if you're not able to buy some of the stuff immediately, there are scalpers and stuff everywhere that like I sort of would like some of those Enforcer Necromunda dice because I thought they were cool. I'm sure I missed that window by like a long time, so I'll never get them.
I'm sure you can find them at a store somewhere, but you'd have to look for them.
Yeah, you'd have to look for them.
All right. Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for
thanks for tuning in,
supporting us, and letting us know that the sound wasn't